to East County Sports Live with Dave Dickens of EastCountySports.com. I'm Ramon Scott. Dave joining us today, a pair of speedy receivers in the East County from the Helix Highlanders. In the upper right, the man that scored the touchdown on that sure play of the year last week against Rosemont, senior receiver, defensive back, kick returner, Keontae Scott. And down in the lower left from the El Capitan Vaqueros, a future star for sure, Dave, if he didn't become one already with his game last week. The 115 yards receiving and 2 picks in the upset win over Granite Hills, sophomore Savion Yokley. Dave, a couple of speedy guys that kind of resemble each other on the field.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let's just sum up the games. We'll start with I'll start with Savi because, you guys have been playing your tails off, in particular on offense, and I'm not attacking the defense whatsoever, but on offense, you guys have been on fire. I'm sure Keontae could say the same thing. You guys have been putting up points left and right. I was at one of your games early on in the season, and it was against Patrick Henry. I mean, you had 52 points scored by the end of the first quarter. So it's Keontae, it's almost Helix-like, really, if you think about it, with offensively. We had our offense dialed in pretty much all season. I mean, Wick has been probably, wouldn't you agree? Wick has been on point pretty much all season.
Yes.
As far as getting it to you, getting it to Donnie. What are your thoughts on that? And then that Granite Hills game, if you want to touch on that.
Yes, I think Wick does a great job. Seeing the vision he does a great job at quarterback because on the start of the season, it was really iffy. I was not sure, and then when it got on, he started looking out more. And I started getting more receptions, and we just worked as a team. This last Granite game, we all worked as a team. We all came out hyped, and then we got the dub.
What was the difference in the last 2 games in particular? I would say actually ever since the West Hills game, that was a heartbreaker. But I mean, the defense has really done almost a 180 since then. The defense has really been stepping up. I don't know what it was early on in the season. Was there a different formula? Did you guys switch it up a little bit, some different packages?
Yes, we did switch it up. Before it was mostly zone offense. Our last defensive coordinator tried to run a pro offense, so it was kind of we didn't really get it. But now we have different defensive coordinators, so we work better with it, and our guys understand more, and everybody just does their job, so everything works out.
So overall, and then we're gonna get to Keontae. Tell me first, before you tell me your reaction and the players' reaction, what was Coach Ron Burner's reaction after the clock was 0? I can't even imagine.
Oh, Coach was fired up. He definitely wanted us to win, and he had this feeling that we're gonna win. And we just came out, and then after the game, he was just happy, and everybody was just cheering him on. We were all just chanting, "Go Vaqueros!" And then we go on sideline and did a little chant to the crowd. Everybody started, and Coach Brennan just was happy about it.
Hey, Dave.
Now, answer me this real quick. Yeah. I want to ask one thing, and that's my favorite thing for every season that I've covered you guys so far. And please tell me he did his usual. And how about them Vaqueros?
Yes, sir. He did that. So it was not very a long speech. He just did a little speech, and then he said, "How about them Vaqueros?" And everybody was just hyped, jumping up and down. It was a fun night. I never seen him do that before.
Dave, we'll keep Savi on here. I think we lost Keontae for a minute. I'll send him a private chat, and he can just, if he's watching and doesn't know, he can just come in through. There he is, through the same link. I'll bring him on real quick. Savi, I just want to know, while I'm working the controls here, but you guys, I know it's been pressure to get this victory, and they certainly have had to preach to you guys that this season is far from over because of the situation with your tough schedule and the playoff format. But you guys as a group of players, with this huge game of festivities, the 60th anniversary of the school, it had to be a little bit of pressure on you guys in this particular game against an opponent that, quite frankly, was probably favored to come in and beat you guys.
Yes, saying about favorites, like, so in my class, kids were chanting like "Go Granite, go Granite." So like it's kind of motivated me to do better and like just not react to that, just leave that aside. Don't think about that in game, just do me, and it just helped.
And we got Keontae back. Thanks, Keontae, for coming back and getting that together.
Had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, that might have been me. I don't know. But anyways, first of all, I don't think, we brought you on for only one reason, okay? I mean, we know you're a great player. We know you're a great kick returner. You can do it on D. You've had, returns so far and all the catches. You've really evolved and developed since coming over from Democracy Prep in Las Vegas. But it's all about that play last week. That's what everybody wants to talk about first, Dave. And if we could just take a look at that play, we got a lot of questions for Keontae about everything involved, but we just got to start it off right at the top of the show. Let's take a look at that play last week against Grossmont. Let's set the stage. End of the first half, Helix up by 20, and maybe they got a time for one play left from midfield. What in the
wow
just happened? Keontae, if you could describe, without looking at the video now, everything that went on in that play, I'll be amazed. But tell me about it. I'm sure we were talking about before the show, Dave. He said, I've watched it 3 or 4 times. I've watched it like 20 times. So I know Keontae's watched it at least 3 times.
I got at least 5.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us about it.
All right. So we came out, we knew we had one play left. So, we're going to take a shot, Coach called a good play, get someone in the middle, get someone down the seam, and get someone down the half, the outside. The pocket closed on Cam. So Cam stepped up in it, couldn't find anyone. He started to scramble. So I'm thinking he's going to run, and we're just going to get some blocks. So I come downfield, and, blindside is illegal now, so you can't do it. So I run up, and I put my hands up. Bang, I run past him. I stop him, and all of a sudden, as soon as I run by, like, I seen the ball, but I'm like, nah, he didn't pitch it. So I look, and Delshan has the ball, and it's like, oh, my God. It's like, oh, snap, we're in trouble. And then I'm like, all right, we got to make this work because we're for sure getting yelled at. So we might as well make something out of it. So Cam goes, and Cam being a smart player that he is, he gets behind Delshan for the help to pitch it back. Delshan gets wrapped up in some trouble, so he pitches it back to Cam. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to get behind Cam. So I get behind Cam, and Cam runs to the left, and I'm like, oh, he's not going to pitch it back. So I'm like, okay, let me go. And then as soon as I'm about to turn, Cam just throws it back, and we just had a wall of daylight. And, I just took the seam, and, we scored, and it was crazy. The crowd was going wild. It was like, I was kind of shocked by it. Like, I didn't even celebrate. I was kind of just, like, looking around like, that really just happened. Like, it was just crazy. We didn't get yelled at, so, but successful. The coach doesn't have a lot to say, but, it's just a great play.
Dave, you can see
Keontae, the announcer.
Yeah, you can see him coming back up. If you watch that one video that the young man made, that great audio, the music, and the 2 views.
Yeah, Mikey, that's my guy. His videos are great.
You can see, we have that. Maybe I can bring it up, but you can see Keontae not slowly, but making his way, knowing that we're in one of those fire drill situations, and he starts on the left side. They run deep routes, like maybe Cameron could throw a pass, but he slowly makes his way back behind the ball, and was never a question. It wasn't like the Music City Miracle where we didn't think it was not a lateral. Perfectly executed, frankly.
Good old Tennessee Titans.
Man.
And I can imagine, because typically let's just face it. Anybody that's played at Grossmont High School, that announcer is an entertaining announcer. You got to admit. I mean, he's loud. He's I mean, he's always got a comment. You guys both know, you've heard him at least a couple of times, and I can't even imagine what he was going through his head. And how would you explain that play if you were the announcer in the booth?
For real, it was crazy.
That sounded like, hey, that was a question for me, Dave. You know what I would have done? Brown. He goes back. He steps up. He looks. He takes off running. Look out, Brown. He's to the 40. He laterals back to Traylor. Traylor's moving. He's going to take off for the left. No, he flips it back to Brown.
That sounds like a great explanation.
When he threw that left-handed shot put to you, that's what I was expecting. You know, when Coach Owens pulled the trigger and made Cameron the quarterback, I know we're an elite high school football team out at Helix, but you gotta put Cameron at quarterback. That's what I expected. One of his not the beautiful passes he's thrown all season, of course, but when he throws the left-handed shot put with one rotation to you, that had to be the moment of all that running, and the way Mikey captured it though too. That one moment where you're streaking down the sideline. But if you had to talk about one moment on that play, tell me about when that ball was floating to you. Must have taken forever for that split second.
Smiles. It's like candy to a baby. You get the ball, and it's like, all right, do we just keep this going or we make a play? And, I seen daylight. I had a good wall. If you watch it, I had a good block from Julius, number 25. He got a good clean block, and it just opened it up. Delshawn, actually, if you watch it, he gets up off the ground and comes and runs to make the block to score. So it's like, that's just, you can't teach that. You can't, that's just, it's crazy.
We might try to break it down one more time. It was so good, Dave, but we better move on. We can talk about that play forever, and that game in Helix. There's still more big games, to come this week. Playing the Eagles, Dave. I might have to spot you some points on that one this season, but still want to get back to Savvy and that win over Granite Hills last week, Dave. El Cap needed a win. If you look at the standings today, Dave, in the official CIF rankings, you know what? El Capitan, one win, we're in right now, 12th place in the division. So, hey, that makes this week's game, Savvy. I'm sure they've already stressed it to you guys. The playoffs start this week, don't they?
Yes, sir. It's a big game. If it's like kind of 50-50. If we win, then we're in. But if we lose, then it's kind of we got to pay for it.
There's no 50-50. You need to get in there and get it done. And I'm sure Coach Berner is not stressed it. He's stressed it more than once that that's something. I talked to him personally, and he definitely has faith too. He says that Valhalla is a good team. We all know about Keegan Baker and Meredith, and they do have a couple other good players. But you know what? I've seen your offense, the way when it really gets in sync. You guys are really hard to stop, and I think that the Valhalla defense, not that they are anything short of something special themselves, but you guys have the speed, you have the quickness, and like I said, it's very synthesized the way that you guys have it designed. So I mean, and then all else fails, hey, you got Wick. He can run too, and not just Wick, but then he can pitch it off to Donnie Green. And Donnie will pretty much, he's not only quick, but he'll mow people over.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is that what you guys felt in the game, Savi, about playing the Eagles last week? I mean, like I said, fair enough to us. We had to pick the Eagles in this one. We didn't have a win all season, but you know what? There was kind of that intangible. You had that, bigger than usual crowd, certainly the homecoming atmosphere. But for you personally, 2 interceptions. What did you know about the Eagles and Macomb and their offense? What were you keying on those plays?
Well, I was counting number 10 on the offense and number 15. That's the main wide receivers. So when I see I've been watching the film the whole week. When I see 15 going into the motion to the other side, I cheat over because mostly does a streak or a post, and then he did a streak. So I read the quarterback's eyes, and that's when he flew over and got the pick. So
Now, are you listening to this, Keontae? Yeah, you're taking notes on this one?
Right, Dave. A great point, because this week Keontae is going to go up against the Eagles, and I think Keontae knows. 15 is James Johnson, and the 10 is Junie Harris, right? So you probably have seen them. And tell me, Keontae, you got a chance to match up against Savi in that game earlier in the season when you played against El Capitan. You certainly remember matching up against number 10. So what do you think of this young player and his potential? We saw it come to fruition. He has some big stats in other games. In the game against Helix, he was the one that scored that touchdown, and he had 78 yards receiving. So tell me, were you on him? I know you were on him in that game. Were you on him in that play? Tell me about your matchup, Keontae.
When we come back in on Monday, we come in and our coach does a good job of getting the rosters and and it has all the players, and I seen 10 on the sheet, and he has a good frame, so I'm like, okay, that should be a good matchup. He's young, so I was like, okay, we'll see. So practice, I matched up against the tall guys to get a good look, and that game came, and he gave me a couple of different routes. Their coach does a decent job of their route combinations. He's very speedy. He has a lot of speed. He's quick. His routes are really good. His hands are good. It's just he's gonna be a lot of potential. You just keep working, and you're gonna be good.
Appreciate
it. Pays off.
Dave, I feel like this stream has been a success already. We could cut this show, but I got about 40 more minutes of questions with these guys right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this big game coming up for Savi. I mean, this is it's been a while. 1 year removed since you guys have been able to make the playoffs. The last time, I believe, it was losing to West Hills. Once again, that West Hills team. But I mean, you played Valhalla before. I'm sure you guys have done a little film studying yourselves. And I mean, without giving away what you're going to do, I mean, what do you do with Keegan? I mean, this guy can move through the smallest seams on the field, and he is very quick breakaway speed. And you have breakaway speed yourself, so you should know all about that.
Yes, and our this game plan is to game tackle, no arm tackles, because he's very powerful and he just runs right through that. And on defense, he's playing defense, he's playing safety. So when I can just work him whenever I can, then I'll get that chance.
And what do you think about just some names that you might want to throw out there that you've seen that have really improved that'll help you in this game against Valhalla and stopping him? Some people that have come up, maybe even some of the younger talent that's showed up, especially in the last 2 weeks as your defense has improved.
Yeah, I feel like Kalen, our wide receiver, he's our other wide receiver. He's a good playmaker. He makes big plays, so it's not just one target. We have made threats. My brother Antoine Yokley, he's a DB. He's a good guy. He had a pick six early in the season against San Diego. I feel like he does good. And then for offense, we got many threats: Donnie, Wick, Sean. So like we can spread out the whole floor. It's not just one target. And on defense, we got Wick, Donnie, Mowgli, Sean. We got a lot of threats. So we just keep rotating. Even on second string, we do really good against him. So I think we'll come out strong.
Dave, I saw the Vaqueros play that game against San Diego, and I saw Antoine's big play, and I saw things that concerned me, things that maybe we saw against teams like Patrick Henry and Hilltop. But what changed this week, Savi, as far as the defense is concerned? I mean, it had to change the confidence of the defense entirely. The result this week against that good Granite Hills team, you could put all those crummy games behind you, I would think, at this point.
Yeah. Well, last week I just got switched to playing DB. And other people got switched. Wick went safety, Donnie went to linebacker. So coaches make switches, and so far it's worked for us. And the DB, I feel like, is a perfect spot for me because I'm tall, fast. I can be physical. So I think it's a perfect spot for me and being a playmaker.
And Keontae, what do you think about the Eagles coming up this week? Hey, you're not new to town. People, call you the Las Vegas transfer, but you're from this area, so you know about the Granite Hills Eagles. You know that, Helix has had pretty good success against them, but the Eagles have definitely held their own. I mean, they ended up sharing the league title with Helix last year, and now they're a hungry team. Everyone's going to make the playoffs in Division I, so they don't have anything to lose.
Yep. Well, we come in like we come in with any other team. We get our scout done and we watch film. Granite does a good job of on offensively mixing formations. Trying to confuse defensive with empties and different formations and stuff like that. So we've been really working that and offensively when we're on offense, their defense they try to load the box up a little bit. They put a little extra. They got a little float around guy, and he's decent. They throw a little bit of 2-man. They do a little different scheme. So coach has been putting in the right plays. Putting us in a good position. We have a couple checks that when we get that look, we're just gonna hit that and take advantage of what we get, and then move on and get ready for the next week.
So now, when you were playing Granite yourself, did you notice, and that's something that's been typical for the last several years as far as, Granite's been known, I'm not saying that they lack an offense because they actually have improved in offense and they do have some weapons on offense. However, it's been the defense for the most part, typically for the Granite Hills Eagles. They've always been able to get the turnovers, get the pressure on the quarterback, especially off of the edge. And the DBs have usually been pretty good as well. He may be a pretty small guy, but I know you've played against Ethan Bishop a couple of times, and I'll tell you what, he may be a small guy, but I'll tell you what, he packs a punch, and he really knows how to read that offense too. I'm sure you both know about how he works.
Yes, sir. We do. And he's a great player. My brother ran track with him. He's very fast, very athletic player. So one when I do a man against him, I already know that I had to work harder to beat him on different routes and everything. So yeah, he's a great player.
And how were you? It had to be a little tough for your offensive coordinator too, because the defensively they mix it up pretty good on that front. Giving you so many different looks, and you've got to really do your homework in order to figure out what they're doing. Didn't you kind of see that when you were on offense? You got to be on your game.
Yeah, on offense, I seen that. And so on offense, they're doing man, and there's one safety. So we try to get one-on-one, just me and the other guy. But then we started doing tight, and then that's where I got those 2 smash routes, those big plays. Because the safety cheat over, and I split just around the middle. I just make one move and just break out, use my speed to get outside.
Hey, you guys have any kind of sideline trophy for anybody who makes a big play? Savi, do you have anything like that? Keontae, do you have anything like that at Helix?
No,
what I
think? Take a note of that. Might have to take a note of that.
Yeah, you know what I thought would be pretty sick? This is what I thought would be pretty sick at Helix. And if you guys are listening, this is what I would do, because I think some of them are actually getting a little bit too much out of control. A little bit, too flashy. You know what Helix should have, Keontae, is a most beautiful fresh flower lei, like a Samoan lei. It's such a tradition at Helix. You come over, you get that kick, man, and you got a fresh bouquet of flowers around your neck. So, hey, Keontae, I think a lot of people want to know. You know what? Big play. It might have been the best thing to happen for you because you got so much talent. Maybe you've been unrecognized, like Dave said. One of the most unheralded, successful players in the whole county, probably worthy of CIF, first team consideration. I think people should start to recognize 6 touchdowns already on offense. He had the big, it's funny, we were talking about before the show, Dave, and Keontae came from Democracy Prep High School in Las Vegas, kind of a smaller school, and they were switching to 8-man football starting this year. Now, I don't know, and it's not up to Keontae if he wants to tell us the reasoning for coming out to play, at Helix. I know he was very, very excited when he was accepted to come to Helix. He has family out here, and he's, basically from the San Diego area back and forth in Las Vegas over his youth. So Keontae, gets the opportunity to come to Helix and then finally gets in that first game against Cajon. And, we beat Cajon this year after they really handed it to us last year with Jaden Daniels. But Keontae took the field and said, and imagine how good he looks right now and at the level he's playing. He took the field against Cajon and said, whoa, wait a minute. This is going pretty fast out here. Let me take a step back. He had some issues with cramping in the game. Probably not his, most proud moment coming from where, he was really starting to excel at Democracy Prep and, comes out here. So what does he do for the next game against the powerful Harriman? He ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, and that kind of signaled your arrival, Keontae. And since then, it's been some pretty big numbers and some big plays. So tell us what you can or what you feel like sharing with us about your move personally from Las Vegas to Helix. You told me you were pretty darn excited when you got accepted.
I've always knew about Helix, Reggie, the Scotty Young, so I already knew about the school, actually the coach at the school that I was at, it's a charter school. So he ended up leaving and taking on a public school job, at Bonanza High. So, that threw me off a little bit because that was my guy, we were really close, we built a relationship. And then the school started having rumors about going to 8-man, and it was questionable. So I'm like, I don't know if that's really what I want to do because I want to get better. My senior year, I want to challenge myself. So me and my uncle, I talked to him about my uncle, and he threw in Helix, and I was like, man, that would be great. So my mom hopped on it. We did what we had to do. Got accepted. And hopped right on the flight. Got it done. Everything worked out, and came out and just played. And, the first game, I got here. I wasn't even cleared. The scrimmage came versus Mira Mesa. I wasn't even cleared. I got cleared that day, that Thursday. Coach was like, you're not cleared yet. And then out of school, I was walking to the locker room, to help out whatever I had to do. And coach was like, you're cleared. Come get your jersey. And I was like, dang, it's time. So, that was fun, and Mira Mesa was fun. I got in a little bit, got to a little fly around, got to show my potential. And then we practiced that week. I ended up getting a starting job at corner that week. Coming into the game, I was like, man, I got to show everyone, like, I'm here. So, I had high hopes. I was bubbling. I was super excited. And, that game, I just came out the locker room and I looked around and I was like, man, it's a lot of people in the stands. Like, it's not really like that. Like, it's not really like that in Vegas, unless it's like a super big game or something. But it was like crazy because I was looking around and like, man, this is Cali football. Like, this is really what it is. And, I was playing my game, and I ended up having some issues with cramps, and I didn't really play as I wanted to, but, I contributed. It's a team sport, so we got the win, and that's all. I was mad at myself because I didn't play how I really wanted to play, but I talked it up with my family, and we got the win, so that's all I could be happy about. And I went back to the drawing board, and I knew I had to come out with something different. It's kind of like my uncle uses like a boxer when you're in the boxing fight, and you get the first jab. It's like, all right, so you know what his jab is now. So I posted on my Instagram. I was like, I felt the jab. I'm ready to. I gotta adjust to it now. So, I adjusted, and first kickoff, I caught the ball and, got some good blocking, 90 yards to the house.
And he's made a lot of big plays this year, Dave, a lot of long-distance plays. And can you believe how quickly he's able to assimilate himself into, the Helix style of play? All that talent, finding a spot right away, and now, the way things are shifting, I mean, maybe he's the receiver, maybe he's a defensive back. And you see how important it is to get these kids, into position to compete right away. I mean, it's crucial time, especially for a guy like Keontae. He looks like a Division I talent out here. He could have been held back by red tape or something like that, or the fact that his other school went to 8-man. So he's just looking for other opportunities. So hats off to everybody for getting that taken care of, and you can see how important it is, Dave. And just got through that Cajon game with that big crowd. Goes out a couple weeks later, 2 touchdowns against the Saints. Touchdown against Oaks Christian. Huge games, Dave.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I'll still remember the quote that Coach Robbie Owens told me. He is the best in the county, the best kept secret and unheralded, just like we were talking about. Because and I told him, I said, and you know what? He is an East County guy. He's our guy, and we are going to find out. We knew about him before everybody else does. So we after you played that game against the Hillers, especially the play, I guess we're going to refer to that as the play now.
As the play.
But I mean, let's just face it. It's very hard to replace somebody like Elian Noah on the field. I mean, being all East County, being really such a force for Helix with the ground game, and then for you to be the next man up. The way Coach Robbie Owens talks about you, you definitely are more than the next man up. So I think you've really impressed the coach. You've impressed the county, and we wouldn't be surprised to see you on possibly even first team All East County. You never know.
Yeah, Keontae, tell us about right now what you know. We know that it looks like we're going to be without El Elyon for the rest of the season. It looks like Delshawn, in our observation, maybe you could just tell us how you feel about what I say. You don't have to say anything, but it looks like Delshawn is a running back now, along with Christian Washington. Cameron can handle the quarterback duties, and it's giving you more opportunities to catch balls. I know you had 20 catches this year, so tell me who's playing offense, and is that how we're looking at it?
Well, we got ball players, so Elion dropped down, and we all had our little conversations with them. My personal conversation was, is just pass the torch. You've been doing it long. Get healthy. It's your senior year. You really don't want to force anything. You got a chance to play college football. That's a God-given blessing. His talent. He's very talented. So I said, pass the torch. We got you. We're gonna take over and we're gonna ride it out. And that's what we've been doing. Delshawn is an athlete, so and he's proven himself to be an athlete. He can play anywhere on the field. So as soon as Elion went down, he came to practice. They were like, "I'm ready, coach. Like, I'm just trying to, he's really wanted to commit." And we also have Chris Washington. He's young, real young, talented, fast. He's also going to be in the rotation. So we're just kind of mixing the punch. Everybody get a scoop. Everyone contributing. Adding their little 2 cents. We got Jahari on the outside. We have Timothy, our 2 tall receivers.
Where did you fit? That had to be a little bit of a, you certainly saw those guys before you came in, though. How did you feel about that? Those guys, I think Jahari's development has been a bit of a pleasant surprise and everything, but you knew that Timothy was going to be there. Where did you think you were going to fit in?
Well, I knew coaches would do a good job of finding a way because like I said, Delshawn's an athlete. He was playing that H role. So, coach found a way for it all to work out. At first, I was getting reps with behind Jahari, and coach realized, I'm a playmaker, and I have to be on the field. So he found a way. Delshawn, being a leader on the team, he realized the same thing. So, he just stepped back and, he let me go in and it just all played its part. Now it's just like a deadly weapon, and it's just you don't know what you're gonna get hit with. You never know.
Dave.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch back on Sabi too. I mean, again, we cannot underestimate this game at all on any phase. I mean, you guys are probably practicing extra hard this week. You probably watched film for hours on this particular one because, again, and it sounds like a broken record, but this is the playoffs. the playoffs start this Friday against
Yes, sir.
Valhalla. And the way Coach Burner has sound most of the season, he's been a little bit quiet. He hasn't had a whole lot to say, and it's understandable. You guys have played hard on both sides of the ball. Let's just say all three phases of the ball, and come up empty. You've been in some games. Even the Henry game was at one point really close, and it looked like you might even turn the corner and win it. And just a lot of disappointment. So many games you were in. I mean, realistically, you're a couple of runs, maybe a couple of missed assignments away from possibly being 5-2. You know, you guys have played your hearts out, and again, on the defensive side, people tend to forget that Wick is not only a quarterback, but he's a pretty big boy to have on the defensive side of the ball.
I want to ask you about that, though, guys. Sabi, could you clarify for me? The paper said he had 14 tackles on defense. Can you tell me about that? That sounded wrong, but I'm not sure.
He had a couple. He had like 5, 6. I think it was someone else on defense that had 14.
I was thinking it was you. I don't know who had a big day. Who had a big day on defense in that game? Who besides you and the picks? Who came up with the big plays in that game, especially at the key moments? Do you remember? Who was
Allman, wasn't it?
Excuse me.
Who was all over the
Wasn't
place?
it Allman?
Yes, it was Timothy Allman.
Okay. Yeah, I think we had him for 8, but I saw the UT had 14, and I didn't know if it was an error. Maybe we got it wrong. I mean, I sometimes share information with them too, so I apologize if we got that one, but it didn't matter. I mean, hey, tell me about being part of a football family. I mean, how much training do you do together with your is it your twin brother?
Yes.
How much training do you guys do together? I mean, you want to have your private time and everything, but I imagine you guys, follow the same regimen. So tell me about that. And tell me about, you certainly have your other brother commenting in here quite a bit about his love for you guys and everything you've been through. So tell me about the relationship that Yaphet had with you guys and how much he's meant to you and how much you follow him as far as training and trying to get better.
Yeah, well, Fett, my older boy, he was a big leader for El Cap, and he passed down his number to me to follow his footsteps. And of course, I'm trying to be better than him. So over the summer, we just kept working with my other brother, my twin. We just kept working, training. We're out on the field doing routes, cardio, then in the weight room trying to get more dense. And yeah, my older brother, Fett, off our college right now, he's just a major part. He's big in my heart. He just a leader to me, and he's just a role model. And I just try to do the best.
Now you were on the team last year, right? You and your brother played some on the varsity, right?
No, there was just one game, the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was. Dave was the one that said you better. He kind of clued me in, Dave. You said watch out because here comes a couple of twin boys that are going to be lighting it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I saw you guys against Patrick Henry, and then I saw you again against the big Tony Burner trophy game. And boy, there was another game. Can you believe it? I mean, it was 2 plays, and it could have been your game. I mean, you guys took it down to the line, and it was really 2 plays that won that game for the Pack.
Yes, it was a tight situation where it was kind of pass or run. It was just one of those, and then it just happened, and then everybody was bummed about it, but we couldn't go back and change it.
Yeah, well, you'll have.
But I mean,
go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, but go ahead.
It's such a friendly rival too that you have now with El Capitan and Coach Ash and Coach Burner, and they coached for several years together, and the history of his son playing over at West Hills, and then him bringing a lot of those types of things over to El Capitan. And let's face it, you guys got that first one last year, and that was a thriller last year too. Just like this one this year. I mean, I think it's really just the beginning of several more that are going to be very, very competitive and very exciting. And definitely, if there's ever a ticket seller, that's probably one of the biggest ones during the regular season that people want to see.
Yeah,
And I'm not taking away the Musket game. Don't worry, Keontae.
We don't worry. Keontae and I aren't worried over here. You guys keep talking about your competitive trophy.
Yeah, and we're just like trying. We on the playoffs. We're just like if we face West Hills again, we already know what we do. The game plan, come out as a team, and hope we get the dub.
Yeah, and Dave, here's the one thing I think we can look forward. You mentioned how this game against Valhalla, might be a playoff game. In fact, you know what, Dave? If El Capitan wins this game, Valhalla, they still got an okay chance. They're going to be right on the edge. They might need some help, but you look at where they were today in the standings, and they were like, I want to say 8th or 9th. So even if El Cap wins Valhalla, they still might squeak in. That gives, Valhalla's not going to take any chances. They're going to want to watch this game. But mostly interesting for, I think, Salvi to watch is you think of their game against West Hills. You think of how Monta Vista upset Santana. You think about this game, El Capitan and Valhalla. And, we're in the Hills League this year. This is a very difficult game. The two teams are in the lower part of the standings. Well, Salvi's only a sophomore. The next 2 years, El Capitan and Valhalla is going to be one of the biggest games of the season. It's going to be possibly for the league championship. That's no disrespect to Monta Vista, West Hills, and Santana, because they're going to be in the mix too. It's going to be a crazy league. It's going to be a good league, Dave, no matter what people are saying, good or bad, about the changes made by the Grossmont Conference last week. So I think the Yoakley brothers and the rest of the younger Vaqueros are going to look at this game next week. They're going to be in a football game this week against Valhalla for sure, a game that probably you or I probably couldn't decide on which team is going to win the game. And we might be split. I don't know. It's going to be a very, very close game. But I think that's something, Savion, to look for in that game. Is I think we're looking at a very important game, and not only this year, but in your next 2 years as well, Dave.
Absolutely, and I'll be the happiest person that week because I'm going to be right there on the sideline watching both of you guys battle it out. So
okay,
I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
You going to that
yes, sir.
next week? Okay. Keontae, I'm going to see. Maybe you want to send me out on the scout team because I'm going to see the Steel Canyon Cougars this week against that Grossmont team, and I'll be real interested, as I'm sure you will, in who's going to win that game. Give me a forecast, if you would, an impartial forecast. You don't want to say anything too negative about Steel Canyon. I know you probably researched the history a little bit of what happened last year, so you got a chance.
We've been hearing a lot this
yeah,
week.
especially speaking from a Highlander perspective, losing that game at home to them. So tell me, you played Grossmont last week. They're going to go in to play Steel Canyon this week. What do you think of that game?
That's a game, we kind of don't really worry about our opponents that we play next week. We just try to get the game that this week. But looking at that game, it should be good because Grossmont coming off the loss to us, they should come out hungry, and Steel Canyon, they're rolling. So, if they don't get stopped this week, then, they're just going to keep rolling, and then we handle our business next week. But Grossmont, they're not a team you can sleep on. They definitely have weapons all across the board. Steel Canyon has athletes all across the board. Their defenses, been playing really, really good this year, and their offense has also been producing too. So it's just like a clash, battle to the end, I believe.
Yeah. And Dave, I don't. Without Elelion Noah, he means so much to any football team that he would be on, including in his future. But for the Helix Highlanders, They just have so much talent right now. I mean, they were able to beat Grossmont. Keontae didn't even know what a musket was.
Nah,
He-
I've actually never seen it, to be honest with
Well,
you.
don't say that. I don't mean you've never been to the library, but that's neither here nor there. Dave, this week though, important game for Helix. They still have to get by Granite Hills, and last year Granite Hills actually played a decent game in the first half against Helix. Helix kind of pulled away, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I really think that based on as far as the Granite Hills and Helix matchup, I think it's a totally different cast, if you will, compared to last year. And I think it's been unfortunate for the Eagles this year too. I think they're disappointed in their league games in particular. I think that they were expecting to probably be 2-1 at this point in time, at least, if not 3-0. So going up against Helix, I think they're still looking at because they had some good non-league success. They're still probably looking at some CIF play, but I'm sure they would more than love to steal one or have an upset against Helix. So I would definitely expect them to definitely bring the house as far as the defense especially is concerned against the Helix run and against the Helix pass.
Well,
And I'm sure Deontay would agree with that.
Yeah, our coach does a really good job, man. Coach O, man, he's one of the craziest coaches I know, man. We come in on Monday, he has it all laid out, it's like crazy, man. He's like he doesn't sleep at night or something, but man, he does a really good job. So he compares his game to the Still Canyon game last year. It's our senior night, it's at home and all that. So he's pushing us very hard. This week, we've been going through and we've really been walking through and talking this how much he finds it important because they do so much defensively and they change the front and you have to recognize that. So we've been doing a lot of recognition, trying to recognize that when we get it, and we just got to go through and handle the business and on both sides of the football game, got to run the ball good, got to pass the ball good, just continue to make plays and come out with the dub and move on to next week.
Yeah, Dave. Helix is expected to win that game, of course, but it is a classic look-ahead spot. We won't ask Keontae to. He commented enough, I think, about Steel Canyon and their fine team. He has to worry about that game this week, so don't want to look ahead. So I'll do the looking ahead. I mean, after this week, it's that rematch game, Dave, against Steel Canyon, and of course, Steel Canyon won at Helix last year. So Helix is going to have to get over the hump a little bit. You think of Helix right now as being that number one in the county, despite falling, to number 2 in the official rankings. When those official rankings came out today, Dave, Steel Canyon, which I thought they would actually fall to 5th, but they moved up to 3rd. So I don't know how this thing works. But anyways, Helix and Steel Canyon, they could be on a collision course. Now, I don't know if CIF ends up having to switch that up. Carlsbad moved to number 4 now, so that makes it kind of interesting. But 2 and 3 is the one that's supposed to be the matching up in the open division. So right now, Helix and Steel Canyon are numbers 2 and 3.
Yeah, I really think I don't know. Sometimes, as I've told Ramon, and I'll tell you guys, sometimes I'm not in complete agreement with those rankings. In particular, with the strength of schedule, sometimes I don't think they base that enough on what teams were played, whether it be Grossmont, whether it be Helix, or whether it even be El Cap who you play. I think there needs to be a little more credit given, even in those losses.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think they need to start considering the strength of schedule more than anything if you're going to do those rankings correctly.
Well, right. I mean, right now that's really, El Cap's thing has been kind of their, strength of schedule. That's really what's helped them in this situation. The CIF does take strength of schedule into consideration, and they just don't take in margin of victory. So really, El Cap is benefiting from this situation. They're the one win, and they are right now in the playoffs. So, Savion Yokley, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. And I think we're gonna, next time we're gonna get his brother on. Okay, we gotta do. Is he in there? Is he in the room there with you?
No, I'm in the living room. He's in the room.
Okay, we're gonna get him next time. We have the Vaqueros on. Hey, we might get a chance to do a playoff preview with the Vaqueros. How about that, Keontae? Best of luck to you this week. We're looking forward also to those Open Division playoffs. Dave, are you gonna honor these gentlemen as a pair of your athletes of the week?
Yes. Also, gentlemen, if you can get a look at these, these are also my son. He's a freshman corner for West Hills, actually, football, and he designed these. And then Retro Sports prints them up for us. They're Letterman's patches. And then, of course, it's for you guys as the athletes of the week selections for this week. So these are Letterman patches, one for each of you. So I will either be dropping them off, or I will be mailing them to the school on your behalf for doing a fantastic job and really, crazy game for Keontae, and definitely a great W against unexpected win over Granite Hills.
Yeah, great job, you guys, and great
Great job, you guys both.
Great job on the interview, too. Really made it easy on us. So, all right, for Savion Yokley of the El Capitan Vaqueros, Keontae Scott, my long-lost cousin from Las Vegas of the Helix Highlanders, a couple of Highlanders, Dave, with a couple of Scotties named Scott. And for Dave Dickens, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.